All right, post the agenda to YouTube. We come up as website redesign for some reason. Not sure about that one, but this is user feedback. Welcome to user feedback team meeting. Today we're going to recap a bit of the enterprise feedback and check in with our request for surveys and broader user feedback. So unfortunately, Ahmed Nasri can't join us, the enterprise focus lead. We had a really great meeting last Thursday with participation from Intel. We had representatives from TELUS, of course, Ahmed representing his team, and
Netflix
and PayPal as well. So good contingent, a really large scale deployments of Node.js, looking at how we can collaborate together to use that infrastructure to better inform ourselves about where Node is going, what to expect when teams begin to update to the latest releases, and then of course to give back to the community, to share that insight of any implications, any performance implications. Oftentimes you can look at a micro benchmark and see a completely different story than the impact of large scale IO or any other factor at scale. So really excited about that. We will reschedule the next session in 2019, sometime in January. We'll reconvene, and this is far from an exclusive group. Bring your team if your deployments are in the hundreds to thousands of services, and you're dealing with some of the challenges of an enterprise deployment. We'd love to have better, more diverse use cases. Is going to give us better insight and better enable us to inform the project. Any questions about enterprise? I think that should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to mute and stop my video for a second because my nose is dribbling. While I do that, why don't I hand that over to you, Giuseppe? You've been working to carry forward a couple requests for surveys, and with the help of the Node.js Foundation team and this team. So you want to start with an update?
Yeah, sure. So I posted in the GitHub issue that I would try to carry the promises survey forward, and updated the Google document that was in that issue with the questions that had been put forth so far. There was some commentary on the questions and the answers and such that I have not been able to fully synthesize, but we'll work on that when I get a moment. A few other people made some comments and suggestions on what we had so far. So I will work through to kind of process that and package it all up as best I can. And then, ask for any other input before we move forward in the coming days, probably next week. So hopefully, we'll move forward on that aspect. And I met with Tracy and Sophia from the foundation. I think it might have been yesterday. We talked briefly. They're ready to, excuse me, to support us in these efforts. And I think the expectation too is that we can kind of formalize this process. So that we can apply it to the migration and upgrading survey that has been mentioned, and any other surveys that we want to put together moving forward. So, yeah, progress. A little slow. I've been a little busy, but trying to get some progress on promises in particular, and formalize the process so we can, other people can jump in and take the reins of any particular survey that we want to move forward on. So yeah, some progress.
Oh, I'm muted. Okay, cool. So is there either was it Julian, Mr. Jules, who I believe is at Netflix now? Is Julian or Ben able to, can we does it make sense for us to kick to them to, handle some of this synthesis?
Yeah, I'd like to do that if possible. Okay. So I'll ping them and see if they can help. If the three of us get on it, then we should be able to kind of wrap it up pretty quickly and feel like we've got a strong survey put together.
Great.
So yeah, I was thinking about that just like a half hour ago. Did I volunteer to do all the synthesis or just to move it forward? So
right.
I didn't want to share what I volunteered for, but yeah, I think it makes sense to get them really involved in shaping it. So I'll reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is, part of the sort of engineering mindset to go and solve all of the problems, and that's something that I'm constantly trying to reinforce to myself is I don't have to solve all the problems.
Yeah, delegation is
so. I think it's fine. We're doing it on, we're doing this ostensibly on their behalf and on Ben's behalf specifically. Julian was not in the original requesters, though I know that Netflix is really doing an operational push into Node 10, where historically promises have been no bueno for their observability infrastructure, and now with the adoption of 10, they feel like they're getting to the point where postmortem analysis and other infrastructure that they rely on is good enough to greenlight promises. So that battle was fought, but it's very obvious across the web platform ecosystem that promises are here to stay, and we can't in our infrastructure sort of push that down. And say, you can't use that construct because the challenge is you couldn't use that construct because you couldn't see inside what the envelope was, and so if you have everything in a big promise chain, it's a pipeline of mystery errors.
Yep. No, it makes sense. I'm sure they have a lot of great context to shape what the survey looks like too. So let's definitely lean on them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like Promises is going to land in the new year at this point.
Yeah.
I think
so. Here, how many questions are we targeting? So do we have a number, 20, 25? And second question will be, do we need more questions at this moment? Joe, how about that? So
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if we necessarily have a target per se. If I recall correctly, and sorry, it gets a little loud here, but we may have like 10 or 15. It may make sense to round it out further, but I'm going to let the kind of survey take its own shape. Whatever makes sense for the survey, I think makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, I think probably 25, that should be about it. That's the number of questions. Usually it should be under 30 questions. But if we need more questions, probably we just need to be more aggressive on the different channels to get more stuff over there. That's
yeah. I mean, I think that's a good point. I think at the very least, we should definitely surface this survey effort around promises to make sure we get a good amount of input on it before it goes out. I mean, I worry a little bit about too many cooks in the kitchen and kind of getting derailed and delayed, but I think we should definitely make sure that we get the right questions asked so we don't feel like we missed something.
Excellent, awesome. So thank you for driving this. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think the risk there is, if we don't push it out with enough context, then, we risk doing a lot of effort. If we don't get the edges sanded off a little bit on those questions, then, we risk, scrambling and, having to backfill context that, maybe obvious to some of our subject matter experts.
Yeah, do you think it makes sense to even have like sort of I don't know what you'd call it, but basically a call as we're feeling like we're nearing the end, have a call with a couple of the key stakeholders to discuss it, make sure we have the right, putting the right questions out.
So I was just looking at the calendar and, we do have one potential last session in 2018. If we wanted, I'd like us to look at Friday, December 21st, and kind of go no go on meeting. That's my son's birthday and like kind of the last day of the last day before the holidays. It's going to be really light duty for me. I have no objections to us, postponing that until the new year. But I'm also open. It's fairly non-invasive for me to come and do this meeting. So
yeah, I'll technically be on vacation, but
okay.
if people aren't interested in this particular meeting, we can maybe use the slot to just like round out the promises survey and move that along.
Okay. So shall we pencil it in as like a working session? Like we're not going to turn on YouTube. We're just going to get stuff done.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay, yep. Great. All right. Deal. And I'll let Ahmed know that unless he wants to provide input on the surveys that he can skip. And let's can you invite Julian and let me just get in this calendar invite.
Benjamin.
Julian and Benjamin.
Yeah.
I've got an old email for Julian. Former employer.
There's the issue in the chat too, if anybody's interested.
Mihai, would you mind creating an issue to anchor just basically the meeting? So our next meeting is going to be on the 21st, and it's going to be a working session.
So are we going to take it offline, not on YouTube? So
Right, right.
yeah, sure. So not a problem. I will do that to have it as scheduled over there and said that this is a private session, no public session.
Right.
And actually, that's actually, I think it's a great idea to wrap it up and
Right.
follow up.
Yeah, it's time to get that done.
Good for closing the year.
Right on. I'll bring some eggnog.
Yeah, I'll bring the Yule log. I don't even mind if it's public.
Sure.
It's kind of, I don't think anything private really is going to be happening. So either way, it's fine with me.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'll just use the moniker working session. I'm happy to do it in the public as well. It's just not going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Agreed.
Great. Well, that is the balance of the topics that I needed to cover today. Does anyone have anything else that we need? Sophia, as we're sort of trying to land this plane, what are we looking at in terms of the technology solution? Do we have a bead on whether it's the Foundation's SurveyMonkey instance? Are we gonna do we have a tech choice sort of lined up at the other end of this work?
Well, I put it all the notes and action items from last meetings on a doc. You should be all shared. If not, tell me. And that's all that I think there. I summarized everything. I still need access to the last survey that you guys did. Because I was kind of taking notes of people commenting about this survey. So I took notes about what they say, but I haven't looked the original content, So I think I can come up with new things once I look at it.
Nice. So if you look at GitHub, there is what we have is the reports from SurveyMonkey. What we don't have is access to the actual survey instance.
I mean any report that.
Okay, yeah. So
exactly what you did last time.
Awesome. Yeah, so that is, I dropped the link to that section. If you navigate to the folder 2018-02 benchmarking working group survey, WG survey, that is the final reports from the last one.
Okay, and that's on GitHub, you mean, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So
it's also the link is in the chat as well, and I also dropped the link to the Google Doc that you were referring to, Sophia, in the chat as well.
Oh, I'm looking at it and I don't see it. Oh, you mean this one that Node.js user feedback issue 77, I think.
Yeah, so that's the promises issue. Below that is the Google Doc, and then Dan dropped in the link to the GitHub. Oh, maybe you were referring to that. Sorry.
Perfect then. Oh, I remember looking at it. I didn't find any. I mean, I'm looking at public user feedback request promises.
Mm-hmm.
And is this the survey?
No. That's just as the issue for the promises.
Okay,
survey.
So where can I find?
If you go to code on user feedback and then the top folder, it says data, then 2018-02 benchmarking WG survey.
Oh yeah.
You see that now?
I found it. Yep, perfect.
So yeah, that's the archive of our data. and the SurveyMonkey reports.
Yeah, I see it. Perfect then.
So, what I'd love to do as, Giuseppe lands the plane on the content, I'd love it if you, Sophia, could figure out what tool we're going to use. And,
okay. I remember you saying you don't like Google Docs. That's right.
It's just ugly. I have a visceral reaction to Google Docs. It's just like they never look, reasonably pretty. But I'm open to whatever tool you are going to feel most comfortable managing. So
SurveyMonkey, it's okay too.
Okay, great. So if you could work with Tracy to figure out what it takes to get SurveyMonkey up and running for us, in a January timeframe, to be able to open up a survey in January, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, and how did you send the survey the last time?
Great question. So we, once we published the survey, then we, did some rudimentary promotion of it. I would give us a C in terms of promotion. Everybody promoted to their Twitter. I think we got it on the Node.js Twitter.
That's why we're here, right?
Right. And I forget, we ran this at the same time as the foundation, the annual foundation survey. So we had to be a little bit respectful of, making sure that we didn't, that's like essential data collection for the foundation every year. So we were respectful of, that taking place at the same time. But there's a banner on Node.js.org. Banner space on Node.js.org that you can insert, and we might want to consider, seeing if we can't, get this survey into that space.
Perfect. There are great ideas. We could think, I think from this thought, we could do a lot more promotion on Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, always, an organic way, nothing spammy. Right. That's for sure. But yeah, we have some Twitter accounts where developers go for, updating on everything. And the good thing, I think, is that everyone loves Node.js. That's something that doesn't happen some people can say that there's things that could be better, but nobody says that there's something better to Node.js. And that is huge because, you can be agnostic when promoting it.
That's awesome.
So maybe we could, I don't know, from my part, I could, for the next meeting, I could start writing some text for you to look at.
Okay.
Start like proposing some list of channels where we could promote it. We could be promoting. I don't know if you try to promote on any channels almost like nothing. Reddit.
Yeah, almost nothing. Like, the extended push outside of our immediate social networks, we really didn't, maximize our reach. That'd be amazing, Sophia. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe a little ad on Quora or Reddit or Stack Overflow.
Yeah, that's great.
Where most devs go every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking here, I'm just brainstorming. But I can prepare a list for our next meeting.
Perfect.
Historically, the problems was between the people using GitHub and the people not using the GitHub. So I think that's the problem here. So people on GitHub and people who doesn't use the GitHub.
Right.
As per the, of course, and I'm not talking about permission or something or restrictions, but I'm just talking about people being aware of what is going on Foundation and on different issues.
Right. Yeah, we're very often pointing just to a GitHub, issue page or something, random like that.
Yeah. Well, I think we could maybe work around that by adding a question to the survey, maybe asking, where did you find this survey?
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Sure. It's straightforward, but
so we will have data about how many people is actually on GitHub reading about Node.js, because I can see you you on the Node.js Foundation, you do a lot of things, but almost none of that it's on any other place apart from GitHub, right?
For sure. Giuseppe, as we were discussing content, and speaking of delegation, as you're having those conversations with Ben and Julian, maybe you could, reach out to them and ask them, if they'd be willing to write a blog post and sort of tee this up.
That's another great idea.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah, great idea.
I know Ben is, super passionate about, high performance promises. If we let him sort of turn loose a little bit and tell some of the story of what he's been working on for the last couple of years and enabling promises in the project, then, that could be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. All right. Good stuff. So we'll see everybody on the 21st for working session in Eggnog, and then on the 21st we'll work together to finalize those dates. I don't know that I want to pin that down today. Sounds good? Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up a little bit early and give everybody back a little bit more time in their Friday.
Are there any questions on the stream or anything?
I didn't see any last time I checked. Hi, Anup.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Sophia, being here.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia.
Thanks, everybody. Sure, have a great weekend.
Glad we make it early this time.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.